So this brings me to where I'm going to differ from a lot of astrologers. The Roman god Janus, the two-faced god. And most astrologers don't include Janus as associated with Saturn or completely overlook it. But you have to understand the month of January, right? That's Capricorn and Aquarius, which Saturn rules Capricorn, and in ancient astrology also rules Aquarius. January is named for Janus. There is a reason for that. January is completely ruled by Saturn, right? And that's why, and so Janus therefore rules Saturn. Saturn rules Janus. Janus is the two-faced god, known as the god of gateways, beginnings, specifically the beginnings of conflict. Again, Saturn brings conflict. Transitions, time, you get time again. Choices, duality, doorways, passages, endings, specifically endings of conflicts, and of course coins. He was on all of the initial Roman coins. That's why Saturn can bring wealth in some situations. Great wealth, actually. Janus gives a more broad and complete interpretation of what Saturn really is. And this is why I'm going to cover him and his influence specifically as the Roman god that was represented in Rome, because it gives the aspect of duality, the two faces, seeing the future and the past. And Saturn, if you really understand the influence of Saturn, it is absolutely dual. But I'll get into more of that. So Saturn is considered rigid or like restrictive, like restricting movement, when in fact he's teaching us of duality or movement specifically. The ancient symbol for Capricorn wasn't just the goat; it was the sea goat, and I'll put a picture of that up. They are the goat fish, and it represented the two natures of Saturn: the kind of emotional, watery, moving aspect, and then of course the stubborn goat aspect of being like restricted or stuck. But anyway, it's definitely a fundamental aspect of Saturn is the dual aspect. So Janus is the two-faced god, right? So when you hear that someone is two-faced, what does it make you think of? It's someone that will say something to someone in their face and then say something completely different behind their back, or something else entirely or opposite to what they said before. This points to Saturn's ruling of the occult, hidden meanings, things never being what they seem. It also points to Saturn's inseparability to the sun. It's probably the two faces, right? Because it's a representation of the sun and Saturn in union. That's why it's the gateway, right? We're trying to become solar. That's why Janus rules gateway. Our journey in life, macrocosmically, if we're looking at the journey through the solar system and the zodiac, is to become solar, is to be able to know ourselves so well that we can teach others by giving out what we have learned. Know thyself. That's the alchemical goal. That's the alchemical process, to know thyself. And like the sun rays, we'll be able, if we know ourselves so well, we can give out what we've learned in service, because we'll be the truest, most fundamental version of ourselves. And we can give that out and help. As we helped ourselves, we'll naturally help the world, just like the sun gives out its rays and warmth. And the beginning of that journey starts with Saturn. The picture I will put up of Janus will have him holding a key, because he is the key to this journey. Saturn was the last planet of the ancients, as I said before. They couldn't see past him, so he was the boundary or last planet. They looked at him as the boundary. And even now, they couldn't really see what Saturn looked like, so they didn't necessarily know he had rings, which also represents a boundary. But even in modern astrology today, Saturn is the last planet in the planets that rule the individual psyche or journey. It's, Neptune, or Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto that are a collective influence on humanity because they move so slowly around the sun. He's also known as the guardian on the threshold, or the guardian of the void, the gateway, that which must be passed to ascend. This is why you always see Janus holding a key, because he's the holder of all the gateways that you have to pass through. The journey starts with Saturn. If you wish to become solar and you wish to be enlightened, you have to start with Saturn. It's just the way it works. And the Romans, they would not pray to any god before they prayed to Janus, because he was the one that would allow their prayers to reach their location. He was the one who opened the gateways for their prayers. So you may be thinking, well, Jesse, how do I open the gateways? And there's not really an easy answer to that. And honestly, it's going to be unique to every single individual. But the one thing I will say is that the more you understand Saturn's influence in nature in your life, the easier it's going to be to navigate that and navigate the experiences that Saturn brings and that come along that will help you not only see the gateway, but pass through it, have the key. Janus can see the reason he has two faces is because he can see into the future and in the past, but he's completely blind to the living moment. And when Saturn is a detriment in your life, it's very likely that you're going to be thinking about past events that brought you trauma, or you're going to be having heavy anxiety about something that's going to happen in the future that you need to get done, and you're going to be completely away from the moment. And that's why Saturn's associated with melancholy and depression, right? But there's a dual nature to that, and I'll get to that. See, Saturn rules over learning through immediate experience. That's why Janus can see the future and the past, but it's you that has to learn in the moment. This is an aspect of Saturn serving you lead, more appropriately a lesson, and then through those lessons, you turn that lead into gold. That is the process of alchemy, and it always starts with Saturn.